Today we're looking at 5 recent reads that I really enjoyed. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks and welcome to another Top 5 Friday. It's my weekly list video where I group together 5 things and hopefully a fun to digest format. Today we're looking at 5 books that I recently read. That's right, you're getting 5 book reviews in one. So 5 books that I recently read. What they have in common is that I've read them in the last month or so, and they are all in hardcover format. So hope you sit back, relax. This will be a little bit longer because I am reviewing each individual story. You can follow along with the chapters down below. And if something interests you, I would encourage you to visit our channel sponsor, Organic Price Books, to order one or more of them. You know, any order you make at Organic Price Books, you can use the code BJKicks at checkout to save $2. Or if you're ordering 4 books or more, so if you want to order all 5 of these, you can use code BJKicks, ship it together. You'll save 5% on your overall purchase, and all of your books will be neatly packaged in one great package. So huge shout out to Organic Price Books for always supporting the channel. And now let's get into this list. All right, so this first book we're looking at, the title is probably a bit of a misnomer, but it's called Nothing Special. This is volume 1. It's Through the Elder Woods. It's written and drawn by Katie Cook. And as you can see, this is a graphic novel printing of a book that was previously published as a webtoon. This is brought to us by 10 Speed Graphic, which I've got to give a huge thanks to them for sending this book over for me to review. But Katie Cook writes and draws this book, and it is really, really cool. So Nothing Special follows this little girl, Callie, who basically is, you know, it's kind of the classic story about the girl who's not allowed to like venture outside of the kingdom, right? Like think about like The Little Mermaid or Moana or you know, all of those stories that we read where it's like, hey, there's a girl whose father has set boundaries for her and, you know, for good reason. But basically, you know, she's kind of going through typical like teen girl stuff, awkwardly, you know, dealing with boys. But at the same time, you know, she's basically told she's not allowed to like leave the bounds of the town that she lives in. She can't venture off into the woods because the woods are enchanted. And so this magic that's available in the woods is just not where you want to be. Well, once she finds her dad missing, well, now she's got to go on a mission to find him, rescue him. And as she does, she's going through, as the title says, through the Elder Woods. And so, of course, on this journey, she finds out some really interesting things about herself. She finds her confidence. She finds out that she's a special. And basically, like, everyone that encounters her wants something from her, which I thought was a really interesting, like, textual reference, right? Like, just, again, preteen girls in general, I guess as a father of girls, that's a great lesson for a young girl to learn, right? Like there's always going to be something about you that someone wants, whether it's romantic, whether it's like, you know, you're the smart girl, the smart kid, whatever it is, like there's going to be people that want to sort of leech things off of you. But anyway, this follows Callie, as well as her friend Declan and Radish, who is, as you can see, a magic radish, as they're going on this journey to ultimately find her father. And like I said, along the way, she encounters different adversaries, and, you know, they're going through these adventures together. And of course, as they're going on these adventures, you can see that Callie and Declan start to fall for each other. And so they're growing closer together as they're going through these adventures. Now, because this book was originally a webtoon, one thing you'll notice is that the paneling does not look like traditional comics. And I thought that was something that was going to maybe work in a way like against the storytelling. But I didn't have any issue finding where my eye was supposed to go. The sparse paneling really helps you to focus on the art, and I think immerses you in the story in ways that some traditional comics don't do. But you can kind of tell that, this was originally all meant to be read vertically. But like I said, it's not an obstacle for the story that's being told. And like I said, I like all of the negative space in the panel layouts. But along the way, they meet other people. Like this character's name is Lasser, a muse. That's the word. She finds out that she's a muse, Callie does, and that, everybody's going to want something from her. And, people want her gifts. And like I said, it's just very interesting the way this book rolls out. And I'm going to stop flipping here in a second. But as she's on this journey to sort of, rescue her father, she's finding things out about herself. Declan's finding things out about himself, and they are learning together. This is a really heartfelt story, and I think it's great for like middle grades girls, maybe into, early high school teen girls. I think this is great for them. So my daughter's 13, turning 14. I think this is probably something that's great for her. And I was excited to find that this book actually has not ended. This is the end for now. But there's actually a volume 2 of this. So this collects, I think, the first 19 or so chapters of the webtoon. But there's a volume 2. This book came out in March. There's a volume 2 scheduled to come out in October. So you can go ahead and pre-order that on Amazon or wherever you order your comics. But Nothing Special Volume 1, really good. I enjoyed it. Next, from Dynamite Entertainment, we have Disney Villains Maleficent. And this is written and drawn by Sue Lee. I got the hardcover version, although there is a trade paperback available as well. One quick thing to note is that this is a sort of digest-sized trade paperback. So here it is side by side with the standard hardcover for Gargoyles, which, spoiler alert, we're talking about next. So you can see it's slightly smaller, slightly smaller in general, just scaled down a little bit. I do wish that this was regular size, and when we get into the overview, you'll see why. But Disney Villains Maleficent, when Dynamite got that Disney license, they put this one out along with Disney Villains Scar, Hades, Cruella de Vil is ongoing right now. But this one is written and illustrated by Sue Lee, lettered by Jeff Eckleberry, and the cover on this is by Jay Lee. Love this cover. But basically, this is one of those sort of prequel books. This book doesn't involve Sleeping Beauty at all. You can really read this as a standalone Maleficent story. I think, like, if you've seen the Angelina Jolie movie, you probably know enough about Maleficent to understand what's going on. If you have only seen Sleeping Beauty, this is probably really cool for you to experience in a book format. But this kind of establishes who Maleficent is. This doesn't really tell like how she got to be evil. She's already evil at this point. But basically what we get in these 5 chapters is a series of people kind of coming at Maleficent, coming at the queen, if you will. And she's defending her territory by whatever means she deems necessary. And, the premise is simple enough. Someone comes, tries to take advantage of Maleficent, takes advantage of her kindness. She's like, oh, you take my kindness for weakness? Well, now you'll see my strength, and it won't be pretty. And so that's what we see. We see this one guy get turned into a creature. So when his brother comes looking for him, he can't find him. We see a lot of really interesting things. But what I love about this book, the story is great. The story's great. Lettering is great. I love that the lettering doesn't take away from the art. But the real draw for me is the art. And as you can see, the dialogue is really sparse. Like, the art really does tell the story in this book. And I think it served really well because of it. Just looking at it, Like there's enough dialogue, like there's dialogue when there needs to be dialogue, but there's one issue in here, I want to say it's issue 3, where it is just mostly silent. You see Maleficent sending her bird out, and I love the way Sue Lee does these brush strokes. Like you can really see the brushwork in the forestry, even in the animals, in their fur. Like I found myself poring over these single issues, just staring at the art. And like I said, the use of texture, brush textures, specifically stands out to me. But I love the colors as well. It's a nice, like muted, sort of moody color palette. You stay with the purples and greens and the blues and all the colors that Maleficent for. But the texture, the brush texture is what really stands out. And ultimately, it's an amazing Maleficent story. Through 5 issues, it was really great. And in this hardcover, you get, of course, all 5 issues, as well as a cover gallery. Because, if Dynamite's got nothing else, they got a whole lot of variant covers. So you get to see a bunch of different artists' takes on Maleficent. And then, yeah, more cover gallery. You get cover galleries for each issue. Let's see if there's any other extras in here. Yeah, I think that's it. And then we end it with a sort of ad for Cruella de Vil, which is also really good by Sweeney Boo. Is still ongoing right now. But really, really loved Disney Villains. Maleficent, I do wish, I was hoping by ordering a hardcover, I was going to get something that was oversized, or at the very least standard size, so I could really pour over that art like I did in the single issues. But this is going to be a great read, again, for your younger reader, but I enjoyed it as an adult man, so take my word for it. It's dope. All right, and as previously teased, we're looking at Gargoyles, Volume 1. This is Here in Manhattan, Part 1. It's written by Greg Weisman and George Kambadais. When Dynamite announced that they had the Disney license, this was one of the first books that they announced. And who better to tell Gargoyles stories than the creator of Gargoyles, the TV series, Greg Weisman. Now, just admittedly, I didn't have the level of nostalgia for this as I did Darkwing Duck. I think at the age I was when both of these series hit, I was just, in a young comedy space, so I could appreciate the slapstick nature of Darkwing more than the sort of dark and broody nature of Gargoyles. But let me tell you, revisiting Gargoyles as an adult, this stuff is just as great as, I would say, like Batman the Animated Series. There's notes of Shakespeare, there's notes of Batman, there's really sophisticated storytelling. But anyway, Gargoyles, Volume 1, Here in Manhattan, written by by Greg Weisman and illustrated by George Kambadais, collects issues 1 through 6 of Gargoyles. The series ultimately ran 12 issues, so there will need to be a Volume 2 to collect that. And if you decide you want to continue after this, I'll tell you more about it in a second, where you can go from here. But Gargoyles, Here in Manhattan, this book picks up immediately where season 2 of the Gargoyles TV show leaves off. So it is 1997, I believe. And, you see that here. We got a nice foreword by Greg Weisman. And he just talks about, his relationship with the property, why he was excited when Dynamite called him to revisit. And then we get right back in. We had amazing cover A's on this series by David Nakayama, by the way. But this book, it opens up and basically like you're getting transported directly into the action. You're seeing a world where gargoyles are somewhat out in the open. And that's a change if you watch like the first series of Gargoyles. And the first thing you spend, I'd say maybe the first 2 to 3 issues, just sort of understanding the world, understanding who the characters are and where we are. And like I said, because this picks up directly where the TV show left off, there were things that I saw that I did not remember seeing in the TV show. So, for example, who is, let's say, well, even this character. This character doesn't show up in season 1 of the TV show. And yeah, there's other characters that, show up a little bit later in the series that if you've watched, you're probably best served watching seasons 1 and 2 of this TV show. Like, who are these machine gargoyles? I don't know. There's a TV episode, I think it's a 2-parter that actually explains them a little bit better. And so when I read this initially, I remember feeling like, okay, I feel like I need to watch the show. So I ended up watching most of season 1 and part of season 2. And then suddenly I was like, okay, let's jump back in. But issues 1, 2, and I would say even part of issue 3 spend a good deal of time like really getting you caught up, understanding the world that the gargoyles are in, and setting the stage for the drama that's going to come. And like, who is this? That's something that I didn't know of until I went back and watched the show, and I was like, oh, okay, Maggie, Talon, got it. What I will say is the art by George Kambadais is amazing. And I mean, obviously, like Greg Weisman has the voices of the characters down. But I think the first half of this series spends a lot of time sort of, how would I say this? Spends a lot of time like sort of just being gargoyles. I think it's Greg playing in a sandbox that he's way more familiar with than we are. But as he starts to sort of get his sort of sea legs under him, if you will, this series really, really picks up. By the time you get to issue 4, you're like, oh man, this series is running on all cylinders. And then by the time issue 6 ends, you are really, really hooked on the book and you're waiting for volume 2. Like, really, really loved. I ended up loving this book. I had dropped it in single issues. I went back and read this volume to get familiar before my interview with Greg Weisman, right when the Gargoyles had the Kickstarter for the original series hardcovers coming out. And I fell in love with this book all over again, ended up pulling it. What I will say is by the time you get to say issue 9 in this series, like the second half, like issues 6 through 12 or 7 through 12, I would say are better than issues 1 through 6. But issues 1 through 3 are really where the quote unquote slog is. Here we are looking at the variant cover gallery. And in addition to the variant cover gallery, you also get some process pages in this. So you get the a script, you get some uncolored pages, and then of course you get the final pages with lettering. So that's really cool, just seeing how it all comes together, seeing how Weisman approaches his scripts. And, also, honestly, a nice bang for your buck as far as extras go. And this ends with a preview or an ad for Gargoyles Dark Ages. So Gargoyles Dark Ages actually serves as a prequel to the TV show. And so the benefit of following Gargoyles in Dynamite Comics right now is that they are the canon representation of Gargoyles. Everything, they're throwing out season 3 or the Goliath Chronicles. They're picking up the main Gargoyles series right where season 2 left off. But Greg is adding stuff as a prequel. There was the Gargoyles Quest series following Demona's quest to sort of find the Infinity Stones and take over the world, if you will. And then we get ads for even more great nostalgic content. This Darkwing stuff is obviously the stuff I really, really love. But Gargoyles, like I said, by the time you end volume 1, you are itching for that volume 2. And Greg, he told me he's got a timeline that goes like, he can tell hundreds and hundreds of issues worth of Gargoyle stories. So as long as Dynamite's allowing him to run away, this is definitely a great space to be in for a Gargoyles fan. highly recommended. I grabbed this hardcover with a cover price of $24.99. It's also available in a trade paperback. I think you'd save $5 by getting the trade paperback, and this is a standard size. So really enjoyed this read. Check it out. Next up on the recent reads list is Batman, the Brave and the Bold, the winning card. This is written by Tom King with art by Mitch Gerads, and this collects the winning card story, which was a 4 or 5 part book in the anthology series Batman, the Brave and the Bold from 2023. If I'm not mistaken, this originally, 4 parts. So this originally appeared in issues 1, 2, 5, and 9 of the Batman, the Brave and the Bold. But what this is a sort of retelling of the first encounters between the Joker and Batman. If you ever read Batman #1 from, I think, 1940, it opens with like the Joker has promised this prominent figure in Gotham that he's gonna die. He's gonna die at a certain time, and that guy, does end up dying at that time. And it's like, well, how? And so this kind of retells that story and adds some more stuff in a very sort of horrific manner. This adds a darkness and edge that you just wouldn't have gotten in the Silver Age. But this, by the way, is a Target exclusive hardcover. For the direct market only got trade paperbacks, but I went to my local Target and grabbed this. They only had 3 in the store. I think it's limited. Mitch Gerads said that the print run was limited to like 6,000 copies. So if you can find this at your local Target, listen, it's a commodity. Find it. If not, the trade paperback is just fine. This is a standard size hardcover, so the pages are going to be the same size as a standard comic book or a trade paperback. I grabbed mine from Target. Cover price was $24.99. I think there was like a 20% discount or something on it. But taking off the, look at these end sheets. Love that. You got Batman and the Joker on each French flap, respectively. And then you've got this really cool cover that was from the Brave and the Bold series. And this was also a cover from the Brave and the Bold series. I think this is the cover to issue 1, actually, by Simone DeMeo. This image, I want to say, is by Mitch Gerads. So really cool stuff. Now let's take a look. So like I said, Batman, Brave and the Bold. The winning card story, again, is retelling this Gotham City. It's in year 1. So it's retelling that first time that Joker decided to act. And so we're at the Claridge estate, and the police department is all showing up to basically guard this guy because Joker has promised that he's going to die. And then at the same time, we've got Batman who is interrogating this dude. And you just see, I guess this whole page just kind of illustrates just how dark that Batman really is, like how far he's going to go to get the information that he needs. We meet this guy. I can't remember the dad's name, but he's reporting his daughter missing because he can't find his daughter, of course. And then we get our first appearance of Joker here. And as you can see, Mitch uses these sort of silent film narration boxes for all of Joker's dialogue, which is a really interesting framing device. But you see this little girl and just her innocence, and Joker, you see the sort of sinister tone. Something is coming. You don't know what it is, and when you finally see him for the first time, it's like, oh no, this is not gonna go well. I also have a knife, but you can't have that yet. And it's like, oh man, what's gonna happen to this little girl? Meanwhile, back at the Claridge estate, this dude is stressed. Look at him, he's sweating. But anyway, so what we're getting is we're seeing Batman, basically interrogating this guy. And then eventually we see him in action, turning his attention toward the Joker. By the way, these drawings, if I'm not mistaken, are all by Tom King. actually, and they ended up serving as variant covers, if I'm not mistaken. So just random fun fact. But anyway, so we see, basically the Joker's on the loose. The Joker is not somebody to be messed with. Batman is trying to investigate the Joker, and this book just details all of that. The fact that the Joker is doing these sort of time-released poisons. He's hiding in these unexpected places, and he's not necessarily always robbing people, but he's just sadistic. And so you got Jim Gordon like, yo, who is this guy? What? That man is crazy. You see him working with Batman. They're investigating together. I really love this Batman outfit, the Batman Year One outfit. But with, Mitch Gerads' signature style. You see Batman and Alfred, and they're like, this is taking a toll. This whole Joker case is taking a toll on Batman. Some of the methods that he's using to try to bait Joker into action, Alfred doesn't agree with. And eventually, it ends with Batman and Joker coming face to face. And, the rest is history, as they say. Now, I really, really enjoyed this book. As you can see, there are no extras to speak of. I really enjoyed this book. It's always fun to get a good classic Batman and Joker story. I don't feel like this is like, classic all-time Batman and Joker at any case, but it is a classic feeling story, like a traditional feeling Batman and Joker story. If you just want a good one-off read, especially if you're wanting to read something that, is suspenseful, is thrilling, this is definitely that. Like I said, with tinges of horror, just because that's the type of character that Joker has become over the years. I do feel like there's a bit toward the end of this book that kind of ruins the all-time nature of it, kind of makes reference to a popular Twitter joke. But other than that, I thought this was really good, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. So Batman, Brave and the Bold, the winning card. A good grade from me. I recommend it. All right, and the last book we're going to cover today is from Image Comics. It's written by Alex Campi and Cliff Bleszinski. This is Scrapper. This is a full miniseries. Scrapper, I believe, ran 5 issues, and they're all included in here. But Scrapper, written by, like I said, Cliff Bleszinski and Alex Campi, art by Sandy Jarrell, colors by Jordi Belair, if I'm not mistaken, and inks by Ryan Kelly. I think that's how that all pans out. As you can see, mine came with a signed book plate. That's just how it came from my LCS. So I'm number 216 out of 500. So that was really cool. Scrapper ended up on my radar because Image sent me issue 1. I think it was a PR company working for Bleszinski, but it sent me issue 1 to review on the channel. And ultimately, I read issue 1 and decided, I'm going to wait for a trade on this. But this book follows Scrapper. Scrapper is like this is like All Dogs Go to Heaven meets Batman or something like that, right? Maybe even like a Blue Beetle type thing. But this is Scrapper, who is very much like the dude from All Dogs Go to Hell. I can't remember that dude's name, the main dog's name. But anyway, he's the scrappy dog, as you can see, who is adventurous. He's a leader. He's a natural born leader. He's viewed as like a protector of the neighborhood. And you should know that this is in like a sort of sci-fi cyberpunk future that is run by Smite. And Smite is the special monopoly for industrial tech and engineering. So classic sci-fi trope, the evil corporation trying to take over everything, authoritarian government, and so on. So in Scrapper, as this dog is like trying to fight drug dealers and kidnappers and stuff, you end up getting the story of how Scrapper was adopted as a pup, how he ends up with the family that he's in. And, as you do, tragedy strikes. And once tragedy strikes, Scrapper's got to get revenge. So he is fighting this Smite, this authoritarian government corporation, and he's going to stop at nothing but dismantling the system, if you will. So Scrapper and, like I said, his buddy Tank, they go on this adventure to go ahead and rid the world of this. Meanwhile, he realizes, like, in this accident, he has this special collar that gets activated. It's a special collar featuring Smite technology, so it gives him some interesting abilities, like he can fly and sort of conjure different things, and all those things end up serving him on the way to getting revenge against this organization. As you can see, the art is really good. There's even, like, you probably can't tell on video, but you get like sort of classic Ben-Day dot type stuff. You get a nice, I love the color palette on this book, and the art is really good. It's really good. And I think the art, the panel layouts and all of that definitely sort of help carry the story. But the plot is pretty good as well. Like I said, you are watching Scrapper as he learns about his abilities, as he learns about the animals. Because Smite is trying to take control over the people, the animals are kind of uprising. And so you're learning what happened to different groups of animals, whether it's the cats or the raccoons and so on. This is very much anthropomorphic. Well, not anthropomorphic, but the animals are talking and they're running the show. But you do get some human interaction as well, even as humans and animals have been pitted against each other for a bit. At the same time, what's interesting is he can talk to the humans, and that's interesting. I think it's done through the technology. Now, as overall, I liked this story. I ended up reading this all in one sitting while I was on vacation last week. And I liked the story, but I do feel like there were some parts where it was just kind of hand waved away. Like, there's a point where Scrapper loses his collar and suddenly he just ends up with it back again. And the way he gets it back just kind of seems odd. Like, all right, we've got to resolve that. So let's just say that happened. A lot of telling rather than showing. But I really, really thought the book was good and ends at a great spot. Now, I mean, this book does not show necessarily any signs. Well, it does. It ends in a way where it's like you could have a Scrapper Volume 2 where they kind of leave this sort of prescribed city that they're in now that Smite is not in control anymore. So that's interesting, but I would imagine it's just going to stay as this standalone. As extras in the back, you do get a bunch of variant covers, cover process of Ron Ferreira, really nice stuff. Overall, this was a really, really good package as far as a hardcover is concerned. This one, even a little epilogue. That's nice. But all of this for $19.99. This is a standard size hardcover. This is definitely a meatier hardcover than, let's say, the Gargoyles for $5 less. So definitely a good value, a great standalone story. If you like talking dogs, if you liked All Dogs Go to Heaven, if you like Don Bluth mixed with a little bit of RoboCop, this is definitely going to be up your alley. And I think a pretty good read. Right. And there you have it. Those were 5 recent reads. Now, if you have a suggestion for the next Top 5 Friday video, let me know in the comments down below. What kind of list videos do you want to see? I'm thinking of doing like Top 5 penciler inker duos, maybe Top 5 ongoing comics right now. I'm considering a lot of different things, but I want to know which Top 5 video you'd like to see on the channel. So let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in another video real soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.